Hey, what's going on YouTube? Today I'm going to show you my rock build for the Deadlands DLC patch. This build is based off of using sets and gear that have anything to do with rocks and using the spammable stone giant. Therefore, this build is capable of keeping up stagger stacks for trials, and although it is not completely optimized for damage, the damage potential is there. This build is capable of pulling over 90k on the parse dummy and is viable for most endgame content. The build specializes in pulling as much DPS as possible while keeping the theme for group content such as trials, vet dungeons, and group arenas. This build can be used for solo play but is not meant for it, and this includes solo arenas, soloing overland content, etc. Starting off with the character sheet, I have 64 points in his stamina. I'm running the Thief Mundus. For this build, my race is Dark Elf. I believe Dark Elf have some of the best passives for stamina DPS, weapon damage. Alternative choices include Khajiit, Orc, Wood Elf, and really any other race that can benefit stamina would work just fine. Moving on to consumables. For any hard content, I'd recommend the RTM Takeaway Broth. A cheaper alternative would be Dubious Camera on Throne, and if you need more sustain for whatever reason, then Lava Foot Soup and Salt Rice is always the go-to. Moving on to potions. So for this build, we're just running standard weapon power pots. These are the best pots to run for majority of cases for stamina DPS. Just make sure when you run these pots you have 3 points in the medicinal passive to benefit from the full duration of the buffs. Moving on to CP, for the blue tree, we're going to be running Master at Arms, Deadly Aim, Thaumaturge, and Backstabber. For the red tree, Boundless Vitality, Fortified, Rejuvenation, and Bloody Renewal. Moving on to gear, we're going to start off with 2 daggers of the Red Mountain. Main hand is going to be Flame Damage enchant, that's Nirnhoned. Offhand is going to be Poison Damage enchant, which is Charged. Our back bar weapon is going to be a Flame Inferno Maelstrom Staff with a weapon damage enchant traded in Infused. We're running 2 pieces of Stormfist in light and 5 pieces of Pillar of Nirn body, all medium, traded in Divines. And then for the jewelry, we're running 3 pieces of the Red Mountain, all with weapon damage enchants, traded in Bloodthirsty. So just briefly talking about why I chose these sets. The Red Mountain spawns a volcano, which I thought was suited for the theme of the build. Pillar of Nirn does rocks, and Stormfist does rock hand. So combining all that, I wanted to keep the theme of rock and possibly some fire. So for the rotation of this build, I have 2 different rotations. The first one is going to be keeping up stagger stacks, and it's going to do a little bit less damage, but I've made it into a static rotation. So for the skills we're running Venomous Claw, Stone Giant, Barbed Trap, Flames of Oblivion, a Fighter's Guild skill, and Dawnbreaker. Back bar is going to be Eruption, Blockade of Fire, Noxious Breath, 2 Fighter's Guild skills, and Standard of Might. So for this rotation, it's going to involve keeping up Stone Giant. And in order to do that, we're going to make sure we cast it within a few skills every time to refresh the stacks on it. So the rotation goes Eruption, Blockade of Fire, Noxious Breath, Stone Giant, Venomous Claw, Barbed Trap, Flames of Oblivion, and then 7 Stone Giants after that, and then rinse and repeat. So the alternative version includes running Rending Slashes, Stone Giant, Barbed Trap, Flames of Oblivion, Deadly Cloak, and then Dawnbreaker front bar as your ultimate. Back bar is going to be Eruption, Blockade of Fire, Noxious Breath, Venomous Claw, and 1 Fighter's Guild with the Standard of Might. So the only difference here is we're running 2 different skills from the dual wield line to stack some extra dots. We're running Blade Cloak and Rending Slashes. This build is a little bit harder to stack stagger on, and I didn't make a static rotation for it. But if you want to run it dynamically, you should be able to keep up stagger as long as you cast it within 3 to 4 skills. As per usual, closing thoughts. So I wanted to make a build that utilizes Stone Giant just because of the meme value of the skill. It's not a bad skill to be run on a DPS, but there's better alternatives, especially now that Whip is viable on stamina. Regardless, I wanted to make it work, and I figured why not try a theme, and with the theme I went with the rock thing, which turns out that there wasn't really a third rock set. So we had Stormfist, Pillar of Nirn. Those were very easy choices. Not only were they easy choices, they were top tier choices. Third set I struggled on, and I settled for of the Red Mountain, Shadow of the Red Mountain to be precise. The volcano, I guess it was close enough to a rock. Regardless, I was actually surprised it pulled 90k DPS. I thought it'd perform way less, but that's with running 2 extra dots. For the first static rotation, I was doing about 85, give or take, so it's not terrible at all. On top of that, it's way easier to keep stagger up. And that wraps up the build explanation of this video. Thanks for watching my video, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability in a timely fashion. As a reminder, if this video helped in any way, please help the channel grow by subscribing and liking the video. Feel free to stick around for an attached parse as usual, and if not, have a good day and thank you again.